something.
Of course she did,
Like,
yeah.
snuck out and like gave her this little vial. And like Brian was in it, and I got shot in the film, and I got to sing Jingle Bells or something.
That's awesome.
It was dumb. It's not a good movie, but it was really fun to make.
I've been talking to her all day. I'll have to tell her that too.
It's so funny. Like it's how long ago was that? Okay, Hi, we are live with the wonderful filmmakers from the amazing short films that you just watched. We have Josephine Chang and Edward Hong. We have Chrissy Fox from What the Spell, Andrew Gleason from Hide and Seek, Thomas Nickel from Hide and Seek, Russo Schelling from Stucco.
Hello, hello.
Janina Gavankar from Stucco.
Hello.
Ivan Basov from Exit. And Shane, Jesse, and John, all crowded in one window from Desolation Prize.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here. Your short films were just amazing. Every year we're always amazed because the technical abilities and like quality of the films just goes up and up and up. Every year it gets harder and harder to choose what we're going to play. And all the shorts that we're showing through this festival were ones that really stuck with us, made us kind of think about them later on when we were doing other things. My mind would come back to a lot of the images from Stucco, a lot like that bunny voice from Hide and Seek, the just chilling point of view shot from inside the crazy room in Exit, and the weird guy's scar on his neck in Desolation Prize, and Josephine and Make-A-Wish, and just the chanting and the surprise of when their spell works from What the Spell. So are any of you first-time filmmakers? Raise your hand.
I am.
First-time filmmaker, okay.
Ish, I would say.
Yeah.
Ish.
We're sort of an ish.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've made films, but this is the first, Janina, this is the first film that you've made yourself.
Yeah, well, we're creative partners, so we do everything together. And it's the first narrative piece that we've ever really put out, is the truth. We've made a lot of things, and everybody makes a lot of things when you're sort of learning what your voice is, and then at some point you're like, this one is the one to.
Yeah, I'd say it's like my first professional movie. I would say, yeah,
sure.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And Ivan, this is your first, the first thing you've like written. Did you write, direct, and do everything?
Well, this one actually is a thesis film. So I graduated from a Moscow Film School. Not
Congratulations.
Well, thanks. Finally, it's done and can be forgotten. It was difficult, certainly. But over the course of 2 years, we basically had to shoot and write lots of little snippets, and like I also did almost a feature-length documentary movie before that. But it's not a narrative thing. So on this level, certainly it's a first for me.
And John?
My name's Shane here. Yeah.
So Desolation's the same. I would say it was my first professional film, because obviously there's been experiments and dabbling, but it was mostly, and to be honest, John being producer and Jesse, one of our DPs, it was the first time the three of us worked together in a creative aspect like this. So in a lot of ways, it's the first. A lot of firsts.
Yeah.
So, a frequent question that we get from audience members asking filmmakers is like, where did the idea for your story come from? Is that something that you had kicking around in your brain? Is it something that someone said something to you and it kind of sparked an idea? Or is it something that, how did that develop? And that's for any of you. Just go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, I would say depression, I think, is
anxiety,
is ours.
Guilt, remorse, angst.
For me, I'd say an honest answer would be passion for many different mediums, because the initial idea came from reading kind of very old French literature, and also my love for Gothic horror. And an idea happened, and I just wanted to follow that through ultimately. So for me, it's not angst. It's not some kind of emotion that was like stewing that needed to come out, as much as a passion for like classic work that I just wanted to honor in some capacity.
For Desolation Prize, one of the things I really liked was the look of it and the titles and everything. The the title itself and the way that was presented, the opening was presented, I was certain that it was based on a book or a short story that I could go find. And I went looking. I didn't have any luck. Was that an original story?
No, it's entirely original. And to be honest, I had the idea years ago for a feature about a character who was able to transmit their ghost through a scar that they had. The scar was the thing that was haunted. But it was right as I was writing it. It was around the time that It Follows came out, and I felt that it was a bit too close, and I abandoned it for years until John and I were talking like we should do something in the horror genre as massive fans, and again our first proper collaboration. And I basically wanted to take this feature that I had discarded and maybe find something in there that would make for a decent short.
That's like the Oliver Twist kind of aspect of it is.
And there was the Oliver Twist there, exactly. It's like an Oliver Twist sort of what happens if Oliver Twist never actually successfully leaves Fagin was kind of the idea. And if Fagin continued to haunt him.
Okay.
That was kind of the impetus of the whole thing. And then trying to squeeze these ideas into a short, I think, was more of a challenge than anything.
Really hard.
Yeah. And we were lucky. We were lucky to have like good DPs and good crew all around us. So in that one way, we're very fortunate. Yeah.
It has a very complex story and a feature film quality to it. It's not difficult to imagine it being a feature.
Yeah, it would have been great to attempt it. But, yeah.
Do you have plans for that going forward, or is this the only time you think you're going to tackle the story?
I think for the most part we've moved on, and we've developed a lot of new content that we're diving into. If ever it was requested to expand on it, I think it'd be easy to.
We have the idea for it basically.
Yeah, but we just at the same time it's also exciting to move into new projects. So yeah.
Now, sorry.
Actually, there was a question for Janina on Stucco. Were you working through something when you made it? Because it felt like Chris Stewart says she felt like she went on that journey with you. It was very affecting. She loved it.
Yes.
Hopefully Chris did. They felt like they were.
Yeah, we have Russo and I have a shared artist mission statement, which is we really want to examine the parts of ourselves that we're not proud of. And strangely, we also write a ton of comedy. We just know that, the two genres that you can really tell the most acute truths are in horror and in comedy. And, we had a really rough year separately, like dealing with things. And so we knew we have many projects that we could have made, but this is the one that we knew we needed to make at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And thank you for that compliment, by the way. It's a huge compliment to say that you were on the journey with us. We thank you very much.
It did have a ring of truth to it. Like, I mean, I think we can all relate to being concerned or afraid to leave our homes right now during the coronavirus and COVID.
Unintentional forecast.
And I know.
Completely
and
unintentional.
It's so timely. Timely. Good timing.
Strangely appropriate. And we're aware that the short has nothing to do with this, but it does seem strangely apropos.
There's coughing. She's afraid to leave. There's this not. It was.
But hey,
the timing is
too
freaky.
Two birds, one stone, right? Just grabbed it from the zeitgeist. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we keep wondering what films are going to look like next year. We imagine there's going to be a lot of Zoom horror films and
there's a lot of this sort of. I actually have forgotten. Does anybody in this call know what that genre is called? We were on a general meeting with the studio, and somebody was like, we really, there's a lot of interest in this genre of this kind of call format.
Screen Life, I think it is.
Right? Screen Life?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd love to, but there's a lot of that. People are just clamoring for it. And it's like, well, if you didn't have that idea in the hopper before, good luck developing it fast. Everything's going to look the same. I don't know if we're not really that interested in being behind the trend and being reactionary. We want to do something that's even more relatable and timeless. Right. That being said, someone's going to get it right. And I'm here to watch it.
Agreed.
Nice. Oh, so I'm sorry, I'm monitoring the chat window if I'm looking down here. So for the Desolation Prize, they said, very glad you did make Desolation Prize. Very much like that not everything is explained. Was this a function of the time that you had, or is that a deliberate choice?
That's a good question, because truthfully, it's both. There's always a passion for ambiguity. Like, I absolutely love my horror and my sci-fi and everything that doesn't fully spoon feed and forces us to lean in as an audience. I absolutely love that. And however, there are things absolutely that we did not get to cover because of time and our small pocket of money that we were working with. We had to rush certain things and make snap decisions that in the end look absolutely beautiful, I think. But there's a story beat that I'll take full blame for and say, I forgot to consider when we were doing that moment. And so it's kind of both, that it was intentionally ambiguous, but it was also, we were indie filmmakers who had to roll with it. So
I just want to throw a shout out to Stuco right now as well. Like, I feel like our films are kind of kindred spirits in that reason, that there's this moment of like ambiguity, of also love of what's happening, and it's awesome.
Dude, thank
so
you.
Kind. Seriously.
Let's see, going back. Okay, so Brian Campbell says, someone's got to say it. Both Exit and Stucco gave me flashbacks to H.P. Lovecraft's Dreams in the Witch House.
Oh.
Are either of you aware of Lovecraft stories, and was there some kind of subliminal or intentional influence there?
Must be subliminal for me, I guess. Yeah, we're writing a kind of a Lovecrafty thing right now. So yeah, it must be. Yeah.
But Dreams of the Witch House, I've never even read that.
Oh,
so
you should read it.
That's outside of my. Yeah.
I think because of the scene where she breaks, where you break through the wall and you're in that other space that's outside of like our time and dimension, that plays into Dreams in the Witch House.
You guys don't have a room with a gore throne in it? Nobody has that just in there.
Finger crown. I liked the crown.
Zach Baggins also. I don't know if you guys know.
Do you guys know who Zach Baggins is?
Yeah.
Do you know what Ghost Adventures is?
Yeah.
We love this guy. We're like newish acquaintances with him. We love this.
Whoa. Everyone
love it too.
Love this guy. And he okay, nobody knows this except for you guys now. He calls the crown the finger helmet, and he asked us if he could put it in his museum.
Oh my
we were freaking out.
Do it.
Yeah.
We probably will. I think we'll probably give him the whole throne. But the artist that we work with, the special effects practical artist that we work with, Frank Ippolito, he is the head of Thingergy. They do some of like the biggest things in Hollywood. He wanted to keep it, and we were like, guess what? Yes, because we had no budget and you did that. So yes, what do you want? Keep it, but one day he'll get sick of it, and hopefully Zach will still like it. We'll go visit it in Vegas.
Actually, the last time I was in Vegas, I went to his Zach Baggins museum. It's actually pretty fun.
How was it?
It's fun. It's cheesy as hell, but it's fun.
Entities.
Wait, have you been? Have you been? Chrissy, have you been?
No, I've been. So I had a plan to go with some friends, and then this whole crazy thing went down, and we were like trying to figure out a time to go. We were going to do a road trip and do that, and we're going to do the Saw escape room, and like
let's all go. Let us.
Oh my God, Zach Baggins is torpedoing the Q&A.
Ivan, you tell us when you're in the States, and we are going. For all Portland horror shorts.
I have no idea who Zach Baggins is, but whatever.
Just wait. We'll send it to you. Anyway, let's move on because this is ridiculous.
Speaking of H.P. Lovecraft, I don't know if it's been we haven't mentioned it a bunch, but we also organized the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival.
I know.
Here in Portland, which is now, this will be the 25th year. I mean, like, if it happens.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So if you guys, we had the Pacific Northwest premiere of Color Out of Space last year, Richard Stanley's film.
Loved it.
And Thomas Nickel up here, Thomas and Andrew have been out several times now, at least 5 times.
Yeah.
4 or 5 times.
So Andrew's been out less than I have. We were definitely out there this past year. But no, I try and get out there as much as I can. You guys put on a really great fest, and I don't miss it if I can possibly get away with it.
Thank you. Thomas and Andrew kind of have our number. So when they make films and send them to us, we're like, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Great.
But I have to, so Ivan, the question about H.P. Lovecraft's influence on Exit, is that something that?
Of course, yes, obviously so, and I'm well aware of the fact that you guys are doing the HPL festival as well, and so basically I've had this love for Lovecraftian fiction my whole life. Well, not my whole life, but ever since I was like, I don't know, 14 or something like that, and it's also, since it's mostly like psychological and it doesn't show too much stuff, it was a good thing to try and actually do as an exercise and also as a thesis film, because, well, you don't have to show much gore or VFX or practical effects, so it's just cheaper. It's kind of a more practical solution. And I think the prototype for my story was a book that you actually maybe aware of, Mark Z. Danilevsky's House of Leaves. It's like it's a novel from 2000 something, and it's like, I mean, it's unique still, and I can't recommend it enough. But it's a book about so many things, and there's also a similar theme to my movie in it. But I mean, you'd never be able to call it stealing anyway, because it's like it's just an inspiration anyway. So I had this idea in my head for like over a decade. So when I had this necessity to actually make a thesis film and write it quickly and defend it with all the curators there and like get the budget for it, just things started flowing naturally somehow. So I had the story, I started developing it, I started writing it, rewriting it, like working on it, getting input from the professionals that I know, and I think it worked out pretty well, basically. Yes.
Very nice. There's actually a question in the chat for you. Let me find it. Sandra Elliott says, I love the sparseness of the words, those who come back from the empty space, and how many possibilities are in them. And they're wondering if there's any meaning that's lost in translation from that.
Well, I mean, it's sparse on purpose. So it's supposed to give you, it's supposed to somehow tickle your curiosity, I guess. And the rest of it you create in your own mind, because I'm also like in love with ambiguity, just like the guys right under me in the little window. So, so that's certainly on purpose.
I do have to say I loved the part where the guy comes back and he says, like, everything is nothing, like I'm from scratch, like everything is from scratch in there. But it's so evocative of just being broken down into molecules, and like your mind can kind of fill in like quantum spaces and
like
different science.
Like it's not just a peril, but an escape, right? It's like an escape from your situation in your life. And I think Stucco and Exit both kind of tickled that a little bit for us, which is part of why they're in the same block. We don't like to, when we curate the blocks, we don't like to arrange them like all vampires and all haunted houses and all. We don't like to do that, but we like to kind of look for common meanings and kind of put them together so that they hopefully kind of enhance each other.
I was going to ask you guys why, like, what made you put certain films together? So that's cool.
Yeah. There's an element, there's a lot of factors. Sometimes it's, runtime plays a factor too. Yeah, we like to have a mix of short and long. We like to always have something funny if there's something particularly dark, you know, so that there's a little bit of balance.
And speaking of funny,
yeah.
There's a question for Make-A-Wish. Carrie Scribner says, Make-A-Wish was such a fun short film. What was your inspiration for the lighting and scenery?
Huh.
Where was that? Was that filmed in your house, or was that a location that you had?
I wish I lived in that house.
Me too.
No, it was a friend of the director's home, and they said that other people had shot there before, and we checked it out, and we were like, it's perfect, exactly what we need in it. We were able to shoot everything in that house. So the end scene as well was just, you know, their kitchen, so it looked completely different, and we're like, great. But I mean, I don't know why we. It's fun.
It's okay if it's just a happy accident. Not everything has to be like crafted.
It's a very beautiful looking film, though. We like I do like the interplay of light and shadow in there. I mean, ultimately, though, I think, you know, it's really about the characters in your piece.
And Josephine's performance.
Yeah,
it's funny that we got here because it was like this started as a. Well, we're gonna
That's
say.
not the question.
What was? All right.
It's okay. We
Please
talked
don't
about Zach
stop
Bagans. You
talking.
can go off topic.
Exactly. Please don't stop talking. Okay, tell
So
us.
the short was something that it was a script that I had read a while back from one of our friends, and then I was like, you know, I want a better demo reel. Can we use your script? And he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So we're like, great. We'll just have us two do it, you know, make it really small, really, really small team. And initially our friend was like, yeah, you're just going to shoot it in your house. We're like, yeah, it'll be fine. And then we got Din, our director, on board, and he was like, hey, let's make this bigger. And we're like, oh, okay.
But not too big.
Not too big because we're poor.
This is just a demo reel. This is just a demo reel.
And then it fortunately blew into a much bigger thing. And then we were like, oh, okay, we're going location hunting now. And now we've got a whole like actual crew and everything. It's not just, you know, us on our phones or whatever we were planning on doing.
Is it the first thing you've produced?
Yeah.
Yes, it was the first thing that we were like, hey, we should work together on this, see how we work together. Maybe we'll end up killing each other
like,
for real.
Yeah.
Or it'll be beautiful and amazing. So
and
yeah,
now
we were like,
you know that you're really good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the one that's more meticulous to the details. I'm the one that's the people talker. So because we had a whole Kickstarter campaign and just like
you need both.
Yeah.
You need both.
Yeah,
that's how
I identify with that very strongly.
Yes, I'm definitely
she's
not
the people talking.
Okay. Yeah, then I'm like you, where I just hide behind the screen. I'm like, don't ask me anything. Wait, what's going on? I don't like this. Change this. And he's like, oh God.
Oh yeah, the director, like you know, as we were making the film, it was like the director had his, you know, we hired Din to be part of this, and so there was obviously our first time learning, like, you know, the producer's input as well as the director's input, and how sometimes it can work together and sometimes it clashes, and you know, and so, you know, it can be an interesting journey from the beginning all the way to post-production, where it's just like the journey just never ends until you finally are like, are we in agreement? Is this the locked version? And everyone's like, and then I know she was like, I really hated that take where I do that one thing. I'm like, no, Justin, don't
I don't like the ending take where you do the other thing. Oh, it's too late. He already sent it into the film festival. Okay.
I think it's great.
That's a fun question. Like, because when we're working on a design or something like that, there's endless fiddling that you can do. Like, at what point do you guys all just decide, like, okay, it's good enough. I don't need to change anything substantial anymore.
I think it's I don't hate it as much.
Yeah, you just get tired. Or like you said, you just don't hate it as much, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, that's a good compromise. You don't hate it as
good enough.
Yeah.
So Josephine, looking at you. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, when you can watch it through and like not stop it and be like, wait, what was that? Like the editing part is like, that's where I get like crazy. And if I can watch all the way through and not stop it, it's good. It's done. I'm not gonna overthink it.
I watched this in like 6 months, so it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. I haven't seen this film in way too long. It feels like yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, that's what we did. All right.
I think I heard a phrase a while ago that done is better than perfect and deadlines keep you moving. So I'm a big fan of that mantra.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Josephine, I wanted to ask you, what was your, like, what did you kind of draw inspiration from for the character?
There's
Because
such
she's so
there's such a fun
beautifully,
change.
she's so
there.
beautifully unhinged. And the whole talking while she's walking up the stairs and around the balcony, and oh my god, I loved it so much.
Well, the anger is just who I am. And he is having a field day because he's like, that's just her. She's just crazy. So this isn't acting.
This is just a relationship. This is just real life.
Yes.
This is based on a real incident.
Yes. So yes, it was rooted in some reality. But then a lot of it was just I don't know.
I think it's rooted in reality. I mean, like,
I'm just an amazing actor.
I mean, like, you know, I think this, you know, when Josephine chose the script, and even the writer agreed that this was a good vehicle for Josephine, because it's like, you know, that she in real life has the ability to be sweet and very like,
no,
yes, you are, you can do
it was
that.
more the dynamic between the boyfriend and girlfriend, like the fact that they're fighting but they're trying to get along, but then they're just like, you're driving me nuts. And then and also in the script, even though our friend wrote it like, you know, for something else entirely, the name of the lead character was called like Eddie, and we're like, did you write it for him? And like it was like people we knew, and I was like, is this me? Like, were you trying? He was like, no, this was totally random, but I can see why you guys see yourselves in the script. Okay. So we were like, yeah, can we just use this, and you know, and then make it crazier, hopefully.
And then, yeah, adding, like, you know, there was definitely more elements of the bully being a lot more of the raging racist that came out at the end, which I think we were discussing this, that, you know, it's like this argument we've been having with certain people in the past few weeks, where it's like, you know, there are certain people you start to see their true side, you know, when you have certain discussions with them, and then you kind of go like, oh, that's who you really are. And I think this film like kind of played a reflection of that, just like, you know, not in that grotesque violent way where we ended up killing them, but, you know, at the same time, it's like, you know, it's the real truth of the ugliness underneath. And so when, you know, we were getting accepted into horror film festival, actually we were genuinely surprised, because we thought this was a comedy, a dark comedy.
It is. It can be both.
Wait. Can you just expound upon that? So did you just submit to any festival and they were like, horror? No.
That's not.
And you just kept going to horror blogs and you're like, wait.
So it started with, it was because we got critiques from somebody who was like, hey, you know, this is a really good horror genre type film. And I'm like, what? I thought this was comedy. I'm so confused. And then, so that's when we were like, let's try the comedy route. I mean, see, it's stuck in my head. It's a comedy. So we were like, okay, we'll go with the horror route. And then it was like, oh,
it got really well received.
I guess it's
by
a
it.
horror.
Because we're like, wait, we don't have any crazy monsters. We don't have any awesome demon
but both of those
chairs.
genres are like right next to each other.
They're just right there, and you need levity. You need levity, and that's why so many of the best horror films have, you know, so much comedy in them to alleviate, you know. And also, like, we're all part of a horror festival. We obviously love this genre for all of its facets and all the things that it's able to do. And we are in this, like, it looks like you guys are like, yeah.
Well, I will say
just
this.
And you're like, sure.
I think
meanwhile, the horror
like,
community is like, come to us.
One of us.
We were talking about kindred spirits, how, like, you know, and when I was watching the entire short film, I really liked What the Spell, because it was just like that, the laughing that you two did at the end, where it's just like this insane laugh, and that was just, it reminded of like what happens with ours when my character just like completely just goes off in the deep end. And so I love that with What the Spell is just like, you just did all this crazy shit, and that girl's like, oh, by the way, it's not that guy, sorry. And then it's like, oh, and just that, I love the acting that you guys did. It was fantastic there.
Thank you. That was so much fun to do.
Yeah, the relationship between your character and Azure's is really great. Like it shows that you're really friends. I think that comes through. And somebody here said,
they said, do you plan to go back to those characters from What the Spell? They'd love to see them try more spells. It was a very fun film.
Well, when I wrote this, so it was pretty crazy. I like had this idea. I was like, got out of the shower and I came up with this idea. And then Azure was actually coming over to my house randomly. And I was like, I just told her the idea that night. And she's like, I love it. And I was like, cool. So I wrote it in like a day. I sent it to her. She's like, let's do it. I'm like, cool. And like, we shot it in 2 weeks, like within 2 weeks. And then we shot it like we did a 2-day shoot. And it was so fast. And it was just like, yeah, I kind of like, and then after I shot it, I was like, holy crap, I feel like this could be like a series or something. And I already have a feature script for it, but I also have an idea if it were to like be a series. It was kind of one of those things that just happened like so fast, and it just kind of, it came to life on its own almost. So it was a really cool experience. But yeah, we definitely would love to expand on it and do more, because I feel like they could dig their hole deeper and deeper if they wanted to.
As the bodies pile up.
Right.
So there was a question for Thomas and Andrew. For hide and seek, who did the coding for your augmented reality type game? And did making that part of the film present any unique challenges? So was that something that you actually made, or is that something that was overlaid?
It was overlaid. So what we did was when the camera's out on screen with some kind of augmented reality thing on it, then we had a background app recording whatever the camera was seeing on the phone, and what was actually on the screen was just a green screen with markers on it. And so then we took it into After Effects and had many, many, many pre-comps of, all the things that were composited into the phone video, then compositing that onto the screen with the overlay on it and everything. So there was a whole lot going into that. But there was actually a point that I was thinking about, maybe I could learn how to code for Android and figure out how to actually put little animations in there. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to stick with the skill set that I already have and make this work.
Yeah. Now you see a little bit of the monster in there. And do I remember correctly? You said that the monster was designed by our friend Nick the Hat?
Yes, Nick the Hat Gucker. Fantastic horror artist.
Actually wearing one of his
met him through
today.
your festival. Yeah. No, that guy, you want something to look, and I loved what he gave us.
He's super fast and super good.
Okay,
he's done
Portland
several
Horror Fest, bringing people together.
This is what we miss. This is what I miss about being all together in person, because people make so many connections. There's been so many collaborative projects that have come out of just people running into each other at the Lovecraft Film Festival and Portland Horror. And I hope that we get to be back as a group in person and meet space soon.
It's not weird. It's happened more than once that we'll have 2 films from 2 different filmmakers that don't know each other one year. And then the next year we'll get a film made by the 2 of them together.
Wow.
That's happened probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. For sure.
And I mean, that's kind of the job, right? That's sort of what we're here to do, is to kind of facilitate those kinds of connections, and as well as create a space, where all of this stuff is valuable to the audience,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. For Thomas, is this the first time that you've worked with effects like that?
No, I actually got into filmmaking through an interest in visual effects when I was, like 12. And so the first movies that I made way back then were, I've got this idea for a cool VFX shot that I can do. Let me come up with a story around it. And so I have some level of VFX in everything that I do, even if it's not, adding a monster or some kind of overlay in there. Then it's, just pulling shots into After Effects and doing a little sweetening. Like it's just a natural part of the workflow at this point.
Nice.
So Janina and Russo, you guys had a remarkable amount of star power in that film. Are those just...
And they're all off screen.
And you see none of them.
it really is. We were talking about a pandemic film, and I know it wasn't made during the pandemic, but it almost feels like it could have been like, well, we just had her call in and do a scene, and
Yeah, a little bit. That if you want something to do something, just make it be an hour long of work. But it's not just that. We sent the script to each of the cast members, and it is like a one day, I don't know, I don't even remember when this happened, but one day I like woke up and I was like, I want this to have the most obnoxious cast that you never see. Like, it's gamified, where it's like you read it, you almost like read the IMDb and you go, wait, was that, hold on, was that, wait, that arm, that must have been, like, it's just it's like I wanted to gamify it. This film's actually like chock full of Easter eggs, and we just assume, nobody will get them, and that's fine. But yeah, we asked a lot of these people who we love dearly, and of course we're fans of their work. The throne itself has 3 human beings behind it, and there's like Grammys and Tonys just like behind, and like indie spirit nominations behind that throne, and like, just but the truth is, great people want to get weird.
Yeah.
We all want to get weird sometimes.
Everyone wants to get weird.
Good for you.
Yeah.
One thing that we thought was cool and weird, and we were just talking about this morning while we were having coffee, is at the very end there, when she, and everybody's seen the film now, so there's no spoiler, when she busts through the wall, there's this moment of almost relief on your face, and but we couldn't tell, like, is this is this lasting relief, or is this just the moment before the guys with a straitjacket show up, or has she worked through the problem?
And I said, I think it depends on where you're coming from and what you're bringing with you.
We generally don't like to explain things to death. But that's a moment of levity. Russo wrote in this joke that, a neighbor holds up a phone and like takes a photo, like, bitch, you crazy, and then just moves on with her day, just so we could like have a laugh before we breathe in and breathe out, and when we were in a theater for our first premiere, that stiff laugh that came out of people's noses was like an uncomfortable, like like they just needed to do something just to like get the thing out of themselves. And it just was a way to bring you into the release, force a release, and then with a laugh, and then allow you to feel whatever you're going to feel. And then who knows? We didn't make that as a proof of concept for a feature. So, whatever you feel is the answer.
Fair enough. For Desolation Prize and Hide and Seek, they're very different sorts of films, but they're some of the creepiest films I think that we're playing in the festival this year that are do a really good job of building suspense. And one of the things I think they both have in common is excellent sound design. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about the sound work that went into each film? Maybe start with Thomas there. Yeah.
Sure. I think I ended up doing a good amount of the sound design for Hide and Seek. And I'd say that when I'm doing sound stuff, I feel like usually when people are watching a movie, you can get away with so-so images, but the sound has to be really compelling to kind of keep people in it and to keep people thinking that it's gripping and getting them leaning forward kind of the whole time as they're watching it. And so we pay like a lot of attention, probably spend in post, I would guess we spend like 70% of our time total probably on sound stuff, if I had to guess, all combined. And I think it's about, for me at least, it's about layering a lot of things and like never going, oh, they touched a thing, so I'll find like one sound effect or I'll record one thing that kind of works there. But instead kind of like finding a layer of a bunch of things kind of stop being the individual components, whether it's like a monster making a sound as it's walking across the room or whatever, and like start feeling like its own living thing. Because as you kind of layer those things together, they sort of melt into each other a little bit and kind of become more compelling than any of the pieces are separately, greater than the sum of their parts kind of thing. So yeah, I think that putting a lot of time and focus on that when we make movies, because for me at least, I think that if you nail the sound, you can usually get people a lot more like bought into the experience when they're watching it.
Yeah, I mean, as film festival directors, when we get a film that has excellent sound design, you know, we always find it very compelling. But when we get a film that could look great, have great performances, have a great story, but the sound isn't up to snuff, it's very, very hard to put that in front of an audience. Because it really just pulls you right out of the experience.
And then I also, I would say I can't recommend enough finding a composer that can just absolutely elevate everything you put all your work into. So we don't write the music ourselves. We work with a great composer that lives in Illinois with us. And whenever he starts sending us the music, it's like we're working on it. We're like, is this working? Is this not? I'm not sure. I hope it's kind of coming together. And we like lay his score in there. And 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh, okay, it's a movie now. Like it actually starts to feel like a real movie to me. So that's always like a super fun part of the process.
Do we know your composer? Who
I don't
keep
think
trying to get him to come out
him.
to HP Lovecraft, but we haven't done it yet. But he did the music for Irreparable as well, and probably some of the other things we've sent your way.
Okay.
He's insanely talented, super humble, and getting his music is probably the most fun I have usually in the post-production part of the process.
We know a guy in Illinois, Reber Clark.
Oh yeah.
Reber's great.
Reber.
So in addition to sound issues, sometimes lighting issues are, lighting is another component that I've been thinking about, and I particularly in What the Spell, because the lighting is so designed and so stylized. I wondered if that's something that you had in mind when you started writing it, how it was going to look, if you had like all of that kind of in your head.
Yeah, I had this whole, it was in the script really, from the beginning, all the colors, like the specific red thing and the sounds and the green and then also just like the style of like the clothing to go with the lighting. And it was just, I just wanted it to kind of feel like, what time is this? Is this now? Is this like the future? Is this like the 90s? I don't know. And honestly, I originally had hired this DP that, you know, was highly recommended, and he like bailed on me 2 days before the shoot started. And I freaked out, of course. You guys know how this would go. So Azure actually knew this other guy, the other actress in the film, and she'd worked with him before. And I looked at his Instagram, and it was just like, he was like a lighting miracle. And I was like, he gets this. And then I called him and I was like, he loved the script. I was like, he's like, my favorite movie is Mandy. I'm like, yes, you get it. Yes. So his name's Andy. And yeah, so everything was about the lighting, and it was a really important part, because I feel like this set design and the lights can really convey a feeling if you know, it's almost like the emotion and everything. I just feel like it was a really important part of that movie. So it was just something I was trying to, in the script already. So, you know what I mean? It was just really important to me. So, yeah, but I'm happy that it came across, because you never know, you know?
Someone said, What the Spell looks like a graphic novel come to life.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of what I was going for. I was hoping it was like a comic book come to life almost, but yeah, I really wanted it to feel like it was like a fantasy world, but in a real world. We actually like the back wall at the end, we painted that. We like,
beautiful. That looks so good. You painted
thank
that?
you.
Really?
Yeah, my co-producer Spider is a fantastic artist, so he painted the monster. I was like, I really want this like looming monster, and then we did all these like, we poured buckets of paint and like tipped it, and we like made this crazy mural, and then we like, so it was I just really wanted to, you know.
It's amazing. Like we were looking at that, like, okay, they found a great location. We're like, wow, that's amazing you painted it.
Thank you.
Watching it, like, not to be like too specific, but we were watching that one scene when everything, like, firstly, loved the film, and also what you did with color throughout was amazing.
Thank you.
And when it went blue, right? And then we're like, so where is that?
The pink.
Where's that pink coming from? And then we're like, it's coming from the candle, and like we don't want to get like too specific, but like as filmmakers, like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That gives it that slight highlight that you needed for it to be coming too globally. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. When people like pick up on those little things that make me crazy, but I'm like, no one will probably ever know. But
yeah, we were playing around with like, how exactly is that? Where is the pink coming from? Oh, okay.
Right there, and like that's so good.
Yeah, it's great. So good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great film. We really loved it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was a gigantic fan, by the way. I just have to say, of like every single person's film on this whole block. I was like, there was not a bad film. I was like, yes.
I honestly would love to just say that I feel very good for Desolation that it got to play with these films.
That's how I felt.
Oh God.
Yeah, when we were watching the films the whole time, we were wondering why. Really? But man,
come on.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like you said, like there was something that was holding all these films together. I don't know if it was thematic. I don't know if it was aesthetic, but I kind of did sense it. And I felt like a nice kindred spirit with everything, and it was really nice. Every film I was a fan of.
Yeah.
Me too.
So good. Yeah.
Us too.
Yeah.
Nice ego boost to be a part of that.
I have another question for Ivan, because we're talking about location, and Josephine and Eddie filmed in one location, and Chrissy, like, it looked like was that your apartment or was that a different location?
No, so I found this location, and it was like these girls like house. They had all this like crazy shit on like this crazy wallpaper. So we had to do some set decoration, but it was like already so weird. It was exactly what I wanted. And then all the outdoor stuff was actually my backyard. So, so we tricked it. So like when we ran outside, I could do like that mural, and and also because I knew that the entire yard was going to be destroyed by blood. Even though the lights can't tell, there was so much blood. Like there's still blood all over my house, and like, so.
It's like glitter.
Yeah.
Fake blood is like the disco glitter of disco, I guess. But for Ivan, your location was that, how did you find that location? Because it looked like an actual construction site.
It actually was it was at first was a problem on theoretical level, because I needed to find an actual interior, because we didn't want to use the stage. The DP said the stage would look just super fake, and just much better to use an actual interior for everything. But we also wanted to have a nice exterior. So we started looking around, and I was just Googling all the different like residential suburban areas. There are plenty around Moscow, and some of them are unfinished. The one in the film in particular, it's like only 70% ready, and it reached this level of readiness in 2014, because that's when like the whole Ukraine Crimea crisis hit, and the exchange rate of the Russian ruble tanked, and all of that happened. So the rich people couldn't afford buying huge homes anymore. So it's this half-ready, kind of creepy looking red brick suburban little town, which is not too far from Moscow. And we found it basically on the second day of location scouting. We got super lucky, because on day one we saw two locations, and one of them was workable. And I said, well, we already have something. Even if we don't find anything better, we can work here. And then the next day we see two more. The first one sucks, and the second one, well, you see in the film. And I say, well, it's big. It's got the right atmosphere, the right vibe around it, and most importantly, inside it fits what I want to do. It has all those different spaces in the rooms, and it's easily accessible, so we can figure something out with it. So we started going there for like a week with the DP and the production designer, figuring shots out, the production design and all that. So, and it only cost us like $200 for 4 days of shooting, which was like, is it really possible? Because I'm telling you, this location's not used. Nobody's buying those huge unfinished houses. They're just sitting there. So we just went there and said, we would like to shoot a student film here. Do you mind? Do you have money? Not much. Oh, okay, come and shoot. We don't care. So it was perfect. Like no problems. We just got in there, and those days were crazy long because we had the big availability issue of the older cast member. He's like a fairly well-known actor, and so he only gave us 3 days, and well, I wanted 4, so we had to pack a lot of stuff into those days and work like, I don't know, 16 hours shoots like for 3 days straight. It was difficult, but it paid off. That's the story, I guess.
Yeah, the film, it looked wonderful. That location was wonderful.
Can I ask? May I ask a question? Ivan, was your DP also a student?
Yes, but he graduated like a year before me, and he already has some pretty good experience. Like currently, he's shooting the TV series, and he worked on a feature film before as like the second AC or something like that. So he's pretty experienced.
It was beautiful.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
And we were talking
about it. The composition of the film was really, really well done.
Yeah, it looked really
nice,
and it made me wonder. I know you said it was your thesis film. Does that mean that what you do beyond school, are you is horror kind of your focus, or are you also going to be branching out into other areas of theme and story and whatnot?
Well, I love genre filmmaking, certainly, and I love horror, but I actually tried to convey it even in this film. It's not just the horror that I love. I love the genre bending things like the South Koreans actually do now in their movies a lot. It's like when you combine something supernatural and horror driven with an actual human drama and well, more of a regular kind of story, I guess, to a lot more grounded. And that's well, I'm writing a feature script right now, and that's basically the underlying principle in it. I just want to combine different things that I haven't yet seen combined by other people. So, and let's see if it works.
Yeah, I really liked the sort of the relationship between the main character and his uncle, and I really appreciated watching the influence of the uncle, and then the removing the uncle from the equation. I saw that as like quite, I don't know, on point with something that was also.
I get it. Yeah, that was the idea. Well, of course, I'm sure that a lot of you people are on the same page with me here. It's like when you're doing a first movie, you want to cram as much stuff as possible in there, like all your storytelling, the techniques and skills, and like all the themes that you want to have. And so, well, I did the same, and that's why I spent like 6 months in the editing room. Eventually, I had to cut a lot of the stuff out and figure out the actual tone, because I'm telling you, it was such a hard thing. The first cut, I mean, if you well, the first cuts suck for everyone, of course, but mine was ridiculously serious. It was the biggest problem. I wanted to make it like a deep, slow moving kind of drama with that would be like so slow and so moving and so damn serious. So there was no levity in it at all. And then at some point, fortunately, I came to realize that, man, just look at, I don't know, The Thing and all the wonderful genre movies that they can be scary, but they can also be hilarious at times. And try to walk this line. You can keep yourself above the line in the horror genre. You can go below it a little bit into the comedy genre. So you can just go up and down. And that was actually, it was hard, but it was also fun, because it's like it's something that gives you a lot of experience and develops you as a filmmaker. I think just figuring out the exact tone, and it's like developing your own voice in a way, I'd say. So of course, it was the whole thing was extremely enriching, and I'm so glad that I did it.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting. All the films that we played in this block do have a little little moments of levity, little laughs in them. You know, the ice cream moment in hide and seek, you know, where you realize the sisters don't really hate each other, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, the quirky shop girl in Desolation Prize. Was that in Desolation Prize? Was that a set that you were on, or was that a shop of some kind?
It was a location, and I wish it was a set because then we'd have so much more freedom. But no, it was a location which we did have a production designer who is absolutely brilliant and beautiful in every thought they had, but that location looks like that.
Yeah.
And we were really fortunate for
Made
that.
my job.
Yeah. But it also makes it more difficult to an extent because you have ideas of how you want color to affect the story or the audience kind of participation, but you're given something that you also don't want to take away from.
Yeah.
Because you want to highlight how amazing this location is. So you start adapting to like, well, I know that was supposed to be blue, but blue looks terrible on that, and so on. Like, but no, that was a set, or sorry, a location that we were incredibly blessed with.
We were also like, we had to shoot overnight because the store shut at 7 o'clock, so we would shoot 7 till 8 or something.
Everybody shot 12 to 14 hours, but starting at 7 p.m. Yeah.
So everything was done, and by our final day, like people were insane. Like we'd shot for 3 days, and everybody was singing. There was music playing. It was actually a fun time. Like instead of going to angry tiredness, everyone just went to happy, like elation, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Oh, for Josephine, I think what makes Make-A-Wish work so well is that no matter how unhinged your character becomes, she's still extremely likable. And is that something that you guys walked that line, like had in mind, like we have to make her crazy, but we have to still make her likable? Or is that something that just happened by your performance?
Just happened. I don't think we put much thought into that.
I thought, well, I don't know I guess we never thought that like our characters were likable. If anything, it was like, oh my God, what's your character's name? Freddie's character, because he's the one rooted in reality, and he's just like, what is going on? So we assumed people would relate to him, of all people.
But the feedback, I mean, especially from you and also from other festivals, is that there was definitely a real bearing towards Josephine, as in like she was like the relatable character, and I'm like, we're in an interesting society. We're in an interesting time where all of a sudden, like, you know, usually it's like, oh, he's the normal guy or girl. They're the likable one. They're like, oh no, this is the relatable one. This is you or Alexi. You're both the same. It's the same. The character are like this.
Fun. So there was a comment on one of our Facebook posts because I put up the picture of Stucco with Janina like making out with the wall, and I remember watching that moment for the first time, thinking, "Is she gonna? Oh no, she did it!"
Yeah.
What was that? Like, what was that made out of? And how many times did you have to take that shot?
You're on mute, Janina. You're muted. There you go.
So we didn't have a lot of time to do most things. We shot it. I mean, I'm in my little tiny back house right now, which is where the throne room was. We shot it here, and some of the takes in the movie are the only take we got. So we didn't shoot that a lot, but we had again. So do you want to tell the story of how I was like, no, I'll just find someone I'm comfortable with. Stupid.
Oh yeah, no, like our special effects guy who was making the gore throne, he was like, so I read this tongue scene. What are you guys gonna do for that? And then Janina was like, oh, I think I'm just gonna like have a friend stick their tongue through a wall and then I'll make out with it. And he was like, how is that even gonna work? Like,
he's like, walls are thick, tongues are short. And suddenly I was like, that's like this much of a tongue. What am I gonna do? And he's like, also, this is the reason I want to do this film. So he hand painted and handcrafted us a
tongue puppet. Yeah.
Tongue puppet with 4 pulleys, and 2 puppeteers stood behind the wall and puppeteered it so it can undulate. And then one thing I learned working on True Blood was we used, when we had to ingest a lot of blood or if we had to deal with it or taste it a lot, they made this like beautiful serum of agave and pomegranate juice. So I was like, oh, I've done that. I'll be fine with agave. So I just painted. Russo just found this video actually that he took of the behind the scenes take. I'm like painting it very quickly and I'm like, go, 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 go. You know, I'm like painting the agave and everybody's just like, and they're all laughing. And I'm just like, you know.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about a horror set is like everybody's reaction, you know, like because nobody's getting scared on a horror set.
No,
everyone's like, is this even gonna fucking work out?
Is this gonna work? Like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Yeah, and then
and
so
I
when
was
she's
like,
making out with the tongue,
gonna work.
Yeah, when she was making out with the tongue, everybody was kind of quiet and laughing, and nobody could really understand. They're like, well, what are you gonna do with this? Like, how is this gonna happen? And then I played Earth Angel by the Penguins from Back to the Future while she was making out with it, and everyone's like, oh, that's what you're trying to do. Okay. Then,
yeah.
That was it was disturbing in a great way.
Thank you. And that was by design. You know, everybody here knows that you don't want to give away your big final shebang when promoting your film, you know, or like what you got to get somebody to sit down and watch the thing and sit through the whole thing. So we sort of knew that we needed more than one gag, if you will. Right. So that was kind of like by design. We also, you know, I've made a ton of music videos, so we always kind of have a musical moment, and it's a great way to manipulate your audience and go, we're going left now. Follow us. And then they just don't, you can transport them with a musical piece, you know? Yeah. So that's kind of, it was helpful. It did many things simultaneously.
Is there a behind the scenes shot of the pulley? I would love to see that shot. Like, is there a video that you shot?
I feel like there might. I feel like there might be.
Frank just sent me a photo. He's like, "Do you want this?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take that tongue."
But it was really cool to like watch these puppeteers start to practice and like it was just like such a nerd moment for me. I love practical effects in movies. I love, you know, Evil Dead. I love The Thing. So like just to play with like puppets and stuff like that and merge like real actors with practical effects. It's just like, that's my shit right there.
That's the best way to do most things, right? It's the Jurassic Park of it all. It's like, just find ways to combine all mediums.
I think it works well to kind of prepare the audience too for that end scene. Because if that had just happened with no, you know, dipping the toe into the weird part, I think you might have lost some people along that journey. So it was kind of a nice easing into it's like, okay, this film is a little like, that's what's happening. So I'm ready for the end.
By design, for sure, yeah.
Thank God. Shane, Jesse, you realize you're on mute, right? You don't have to whisper to each other.
Are you calling people out on Zoom right now?
He just went like this. It's like you're muted, guys.
Like, you I didn't know that we were on mute. Look at you, dude. I've now
we can't hear you at all.
The whole time I thought every hilarious thing that we said was being heard.
It was being broadcast.
I went away for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody, for our stupid distraction.
I'm just having fun. It's fine.
It's such a shame we aren't with you guys. Like,
this is fun.
like this would be,
I know.
Obviously, circumstances, but
it really is.
I'm trying to meet you as much as we can right now.
Yeah.
I like thank you to firstly like
Gwen and Brian for making this happen. Like, you guys have done an amazing job. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for being here with us. I mean, it's when if you've watched a few of the Q&As, you've seen me say this sort of in each one, but if this only happens because you're here with us, and when we started talking about how to, in March, when it became pretty clear that we weren't going to come out of this thing anytime soon, we were really pretty scared about what was going to happen to Portland Horror Film Festival. We've run the Lovecraft Film Festival for enough years now that while we wouldn't want to miss one, we feel like the audience is really there, and they would be back there with us if we had to delay or postpone. But for Portland Horror, it's only 5 years in, and we feel like we're still kind of building an audience. And we really just were frightened about the future of the festival. And we didn't know or think how many of the filmmakers that we approached would still want to be part of something that was streaming like this.
Yeah, we hit that selected button, and then we were like,
yeah, like,
please don't back out.
Please don't back out. But
so we had 3 films that weren't able to play because of distribution and development deals.
Yeah.
But that's out of, I think, 68 films that we'd wanted to play, 3 had to drop out.
Yeah.
So we're like, whew, big sigh of relief. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's the sad thing is, one of the things that we really love to tell filmmakers when we're accepting them is, hey, we're going to play your film on the 60-foot screen at the Hollywood Theater, and it's a beautiful 1926 built movie palace, and it's got this weird Rococo facade that's really strange and unique in the country. They're the only theater in Oregon that can play 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, and 70 millimeter films.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they're a total nonprofit that's committed to playing independent and art house films.
And so you're saying this is where we were all gonna play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I know.
So
and actually, if you go on, I don't know if it's on the website or if it's on Google Maps. If you look up the Hollywood Theater in Portland, Oregon, I think on Google Maps there's like a Zoom walkthrough. Like you can actually go through the lobby and like up to the upstairs lobby and like into the main auditorium. It's very
beautiful.
cool.
That's awesome.
So when the borders open again, we can come to this theater and maybe do stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. That's the idea.
Well, we are actually also planning. We have no idea when this is going to happen, but when things do start getting open back up, and we can actually put a crowd in the theater, we're planning on doing like a best of Portland Horror Film Festival, and we're going to use kind of audience voting and our own jury voting to take films from this festival and do like a 1 or maybe a 2-night event. And so, cross your fingers and keep an eye on your emails, and we'll try to let people know in case you want to come out and check it out.
Yeah.
We're so happy that we thought we could drive down.
Yeah.
Canada to Portland. We can make that.
Yeah.
That's like 6 hours. Easy.
Oh yeah,
That's not bad.
well, that's easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are in Vancouver right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from. That's funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And where are you now?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, you're in Los Angeles.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Andrew and Thomas, where are you guys from?
Champaign, Illinois.
Both of you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we live by the University of Illinois. I'm from Chicago originally, though.
Cool. I'm
I'm
Rockford.
from Joliet.
Yeah.
Risso's from Rockford.
Yeah.
Do you?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Wow.
It's a whole thing. It's a long story.
We should probably wrap up
We
and let
should
you guys
probably wrap
go.
up, yeah.
And
I've got so much Last of
but
Us to play.
before we depart, we would love to hear from each of you and tell our audience where they can find you on social media and how they can find out more about the projects that you're working on or going to be working on.
Absolutely.
We start with
thanks to
Let's start with
everybody.
Eddie and Josephine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for like at Skinner Street Films. Please find us, and we need your support and everybody, and like we will absolutely support you.
Yeah.
All in this together,
Definitely.
and as Shane said, as kindred spirits of this film festival, Gwen and Brian, thank you all for. This is our last festival showing Desolation, so it's a big celebration for us.
But we on to the next ones with a new film, so hopefully we'll see you guys at the next one with
I
new
hope so.
film. Yeah. The director of our newest film that we'll be hopefully doing things. He's been slinking around in the background feeding us shots. Very literally,
like literally, like
like a little worm kind of floating through. So that's the director of the next film, and hopefully you'll get to meet him because he's lovely.
I have not noticed him. Is he crawling around on the floor?
He knows his frame. He knows his frame.
Yeah, it's been great, but also we should probably not be talking socially right now.
So, Josephine and Edward, tell us where we can follow you on social media and find out about your upcoming projects.
For my social media, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Cinnabon Monster. Yes, Cinnabon, as in the fat pastry product you find in airports. So that's my social media handle.
Facebook and Instagram, it's Slojo Jojo. And Twitter, I guess I am Josephine with the yam because everything else is taken.
You mainly use Instagram. That's your main.
I use nothing now.
Okay.
But it'll be updated.
Yeah. And in terms of projects that we're working on next, honestly, it's just surviving, man. I don't know when the heck this thing's gonna end. So it's like if we are gonna make any films, it's like I'm not looking forward to Zoom style making. I'm just like I'd rather make something when we can all I don't know, not have sex scenes with dolls. That would be a great future to look forward to.
Wait a second. Hold on,
I
guys.
can see that.
Don't judge. Don't judge.
There's nothing wrong.
I gotta see how The Bold and the Beautiful does it because it seems ridiculous. I'm like, man. Come on.
I mean, if you do it like the Sands of Modesto.
Oh, Sands of Modesto. I mean, they saw the future coming. That SNL sketch, man. That's classic now.
What about Chrissy? Where can now you're a musical performer as well, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I have a band called Knee High Fox, and so we've toured a lot. Actually, we've played in Joliet multiple times. That's actually how that all ties in. So I know, random, right?
I love that.
Right.
I love that.
I know you looked at me like I was lying, but I'm like, no, I've been there a lot of times. I don't know.
That's great.
But no, so my band is Knee High Fox, kneehighfox.com, Instagram. But my personal stuff is Chrissy Fox, Instagram, Facebook, chrissyfox.com. And then my production company with Spider, where we do a lot of the films together, is One Fox Productions. And I'm going to be actually doing an anthology feature starting in August. We've got, if everything goes forward and nothing else weird happens, that's the plan. So
how many stories in one feature?
It's going to be 5 stories. So
Cool.
it's and they all kind of tie together. So it's going to be a pretty big undertaking, but hopefully
you're going to do it. You're going to do it because you have to. That's it.
What else are we going to do, right? So hopefully, and we do have an Indiegogo for that. So if you want to check it out, you can find it on our socials. And but yeah, regardless, we're doing that, and I'm excited to keep doing this, and hopefully this horrible pandemic thing, we get past it very soon. So
Thomas and Andrew, where can we stay in touch with you guys?
So my Instagram is generally where I put my behind the scenes stuff for film related things. It's TD Nickel. I just added it to my little name right there. And you can get my sort of past work. Any upcoming stuff that I'm going to be sharing is going to be on tdnickel.com.
I'm Andrew.f.Gleason on Instagram and Facebook, and Thomas and I direct most of their stuff together. So his website's where you can basically anything that's not currently in the festival circuits is where pretty much all of our stuff is.
Cool. And Russo and Janina, how can we keep in touch with your future projects? And
This is me right here. At
Wrong side there.
This is me right here.
There
Thank you.
go.
Appreciate you.
Mirrors
Appreciate you.
us.
Appreciate you.
Slush.
Yeah.
This right here. This is my handle on the interweb.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Russo.
Oh, yeah. I'm just Russo shelling it on most things. Yeah.
And we have quite a few things in the hopper, but if you like video games, we can't announce it yet, but we do have something coming that we call We Want to Know More, and you can find all those socials at We Want to Know More.
And we're also writing a feature script right now.
Oh yeah.
And then developing another feature.
Okay. Well, none of those things are real yet. So, I mean, we got hired to write a movie. We got hired to write a movie, but it's like it's not even like a thing. It didn't get greenlit to shoot it yet. So it doesn't even matter to like even talk about it because it's like so long
Next person, please.
Oh yeah, I have 6 projects on the line. Yeah, I got 6 projects here. They're all in the air.
Exactly. It's like I totally am just like, why even talk about it? It's not even real yet. Anyway, Ivan.
Am I the only one left? Well, I'm easy to find. You can see the name on the screen. I'm basically Facebook is my only outlet. And if you have any of you guys watching this have any questions about the movie I did, feel free to friend me and chat. And well, if I ever have anything to brag about in the filmmaking field, you'll certainly find it on the Facebook page as well. So
yeah. And always keep us in the loop. This goes for everybody. If you've got genre projects coming up that, or things that you want us to promote, you know, like an online release or a DVD release or something like that, please let us know about it. Don't be afraid to drop us an email and say hi. And if you're in Portland, don't be afraid to drop us an email and meet us for a coffee.
As soon as we can cross the border, we're going to come down and see you guys.
Yeah. Portland's one of my favorite cities ever to play, to visit. So absolutely.
I love it.
We'd love to meet any of you guys in person if you want to make it out here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
With that,
so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Later,
Thanks
everybody.
so much.
Brian's gonna go
Thank
cut
you.
sound and video. And
Bye.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
all right, take it easy. Thanks so much for being here. It really means a lot to us. And I'm gonna go. I have to jump out and switch stuff. If any of you want to hang, you can. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
See you guys.
oh
Bye.
my god,
Ivan, if Ivan's
stool.
still there,
It's killing me.
Ivan, are you around?